Hey everybody! Welcome to another episode of the podcast where we ask the question. Hey,
Hey,
remember the Aughts?
sure do.
I'm Courtney,
And I am Thomas.
and at this podcast we talk about everything from the moment you opened up your GameCube and tried Super Smash Bros. For the first time to hearing the Wii waiting area theme music for the first time.
Oh yeah,
Do,
That's more relevant today than it might have been when it came out.
I know, right? I was watching like meme videos on YouTube and I was like so proud of the Wii music for becoming our main protagonist.
Yeah, I watched a whole video about the Wii. Not the Wii, the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly one of the most aesthetically pleasing game consoles ever designed.
It really is.
It was a little nugget of joy and had so much potential.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I don't know, it had so much there and I loved my GameCube.
The GameCube was a symbol of hope.
I think its downfall was its limited library. It really did not nearly have as many games as the other consoles did.
It didn't have as many games, but the games that it had were revolutionary and now foundations of gaming, I think. Like, everybody played Super Smash Bros. On Nintendo 64, but I feel like Melee was really what made it stand out. And then you've got Pikmin, you've got Animal Crossing, Luigi's Mansion.
No, I know. I'm not taking away the actual games. I think the games are very quality. I just think it's interesting.
But now after
to
I
look
say that,
at.
that's only like 5.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's run because it had quality. It had quality foundation. It was a great system and had great games. I think like they had a harder time selling. I remember watching their marketing campaign because this video broke down the GameCube from a love perspective about the GameCube, but it was like they were worried that they weren't getting enough teenagers to play it. So when they launched the GameCube in Europe, they marketed it as this like edgy gaming console. But that's clearly not what it was. And I think the controversies of Grand Theft Auto were like really big. So a lot of European parents didn't want to get the edgy console, and that's the Nintendo was marketing themselves as the edgy console, so they weren't buying GameCubes.
That's so funny. I'm like trying to imagine that and seeing GameCube as this like scary thing you don't want your teens playing.
I mean, the most explicit games I can think of on the GameCube were Resident Evil, which for a short period was exclusive on the GameCube.
And then, which we've talked about before.
Yeah. And then Eternal Darkness, which is a spectacular, like, Lovecraftian, like, horror game.
Right.
But that's about it. I don't think they had many other adult titles on the GameCube except for, like, weird knockoff games.
Right. I do remember when Animal Crossing first came out, they did these commercials that made it look like the real world, but everybody was dressed up as Animal Crossing characters.
Yes.
That was the most mature a way to approach advertising for a video game that's literally about like running errands for your neighbors, and your neighbors are all animals with cute names.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, you know, the first Def Jam game was on the GameCube.
Oh, okay.
Def Jam, I think the first game was just called Def Jam. It was like a wrestling game featuring a bunch of rappers under the Def Jam label. That's when I first heard DMX.
Oh,
he was
DMX.
a prominent character, and his music was featured on Def Jam, which I played on GameCube. Then the sequel, which I think the sequel was the bigger title, Def Jam Fight for New York, was not on GameCube. Okay. But it was such a fun game. I love that game.
I never played that one.
It's so much fun. It's a really well-polished fighting wrestling game where you're trained by Henry Rollins.
Yeah.
Henry Rollins just finds his way into
That's
every.
so funny. I know that not recently, like a few years ago, there was a Columbia University grad who was like a professional wrestler. Like
What?
he graduated and like became a professional wrestler, but also on the like art education teachers college Instagram page, there's a picture of him from 2016 where he is standing next to his sculpture in ceramics, and I just loved the dichotomy of this like pro wrestler also being really into ceramics, like the softness of building ceramics. I thought that was cute.
That's amazing. I love
Yeah.
that.
Um, but yeah, so we talked about GameCube and Wii for a little bit. What was your odds thing?
I think I'm just gonna roll with this because I was gonna talk about the
Okay.
Saw series because I was like, yeah, Saw
Oh,
came out, and because I think Spiral is supposed to be coming out soon, so that's like on the forefront of my mind.
is that
I
the Chris Rock one?
yes,
Dude, I
which
love Chris Rock just randomly being like, let me make the next Saw movie. Just let me do it. And
which
who's
I'm
gonna say
excited.
no?
Yeah, which I'm excited about. Like I like that there's new and interesting people producing and getting their hands involved in movie franchises that have just been beaten to death. Like, I
Me
don't know if it's
too.
still happening, but for a long time, LeBron James was, I think he had either acquired or was in talks to produce another Friday the 13th movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only holdup is this ridiculous lawsuit that's still going on, but I was just like, yo, get
Oh.
someone with new ideas in here. I want LeBron James's Friday the 13th movie.
Dude, he was the best part of Trainwreck.
Yes, he was.
And also people realizing that Bill Hader could get it.
Oh yeah, Bill Hader.
Yes. Yeah.
Another horror fan icon, Bill Hader.
Yeah. I love the idea of him being on set of it and all of his notes are just constantly being like, you have to stop smiling. And it'll be like a scene where they're in danger and he's like, oh no, he's coming. And they're like, Bill, please stop smiling.
Also, I very much appreciate Bill Hader's little nod to the Thing in the movie It Chapter 2.
Oh, really?
There's a point, because in the movie The Thing,
Mm-hmm.
what basically happens is this alien life form mimics organic matter at a molecular level,
Right.
but when it gets exposed, it like mutates to like flee or attack.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a moment where they like burn the body of someone who is the Thing,
Mm-hmm.
but then the head falls off, sprouts legs, and walks away. And one of the characters just looks like it's one of these amazing moments of like humor in a horror movie where the character just looks, has this like utter disbelief on his face, and just goes, "You gotta be fucking kidding me."
Right. Right.
So in the It Chapter 2, there's a scene very similar where one of Pennywise's like mirage illusions is like a kid's head that's also a spider.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Hader's just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Oh, I think that like of that group of SNL alumni, I feel like Kristen Wiig has always like tried to do these very serious roles, and that's fine. But I feel like Bill Hader, it comes more naturally, and it's very clear in Skeleton Twins
I was gonna
that
say she was
yeah,
in that movie with him. I liked that movie.
I liked it too. I thought it was pretty good, but I think that like Bill Hader, it came a little bit more naturally to him. And I
Yes.
feel like a little bit more intrigued by his serious performances. So I loved that he was in it too. I love that he has Barry. Barry is such a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Do you remember that? Like, I just thought about it. There was a lot in that time of like the early 2010s. There was a lot of indie movies that were just filmed in like upstate New York in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah, I love those movies.
I do too. Adam Scott was in a movie like that. I forgot the
Yeah.
name of it.
There's Friends with Benefit. No, not Friends with Benefits. That's the Justin Timberlake movie. I always want to call it Friends with Benefits. It's by John Hamm's ex-wife, and Megan Fox is in it.
Hmm.
Is it like Friends with Children?
No,
I
wait.
don't.
There a movie with Olivia Wilde just called Just Friends. I think that's what it was called.
Just Friends. No, isn't that a different one?
That might be a different one.
Hold on. Just Friends is the movie with Ryan Reynolds and Amy Smart.
Oh.
Which I do really like this movie. Chris Marquette is in it, and he is in Barry. What is the Adam Scott one I'm thinking of? With Megan Fox and John Hamm and Kristen Wiig. That movie was kind of not great. Friends with Kids. That's what it was.
Friends with Kids, okay.
Yeah. That movie was like a mixed bag of performances. Megan Fox was pretty good in it. Yeah.
The movie I was thinking of is Drinking Buddies.
Drinking Buddies. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, we both watched that movie.
We did. Jack Johnson's in it.
Jake Johnson.
What did I say?
Jack Johnson, who is very similar. No, he's very similar to the musician we're talking about today.
Oh, no.
Jack Johnson is the musician who sings that Sitting, Waiting, Wishing song.
Okay.
Yeah.
But today we're not talking about anything we've talked about for 10 minutes. We're here to talk about and continue our series of one-hit wonder songs from the 2000s. Courtney, do you want to introduce us to today's song?
Today's episode is about Bad Day by Daniel Powter.
'Cause you had a bad day, you take it one down, you sing a sad song just to turn it around.
This is where I insert the song sample.
I don't think I realized how high-pitched his voice sounded when we were going, like when this song was a hit. I didn't remember his voice being so like, and now that we're older, I'm like, oh no, oh, that's a lot
just
on the eardrums.
Turn it around.
Yeah.
Say it out loud.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So where should we start?
Song, I don't know. This song was everywhere. Like, you know what's funny is that it's such a staple in the back of my mind. Like, the other song we did, Face Down, is a one-hit wonder. Well, I don't even know. It is sort of a one-hit wonder in that that one song broke through to the mainstream, but they still had a decent career in the scene. Like, if you were into, like, post-punk or post-hardcore, like, scene music, you were definitely listening to the rest of that album. But this song was
right,
such
and we also
a
did
hit.
have that one kid on our Instagram page about Red Jumpsuit Apparatus be like, their whole first album rocked. No one who hit Dude Wonder. I don't know. This guy didn't write a full sentence.
Yeah, he said, not totally not one hit wonder. I listened to the whole album, and I was like,
great.
dude, you're right. I also just listened to the whole album this week.
You can listen to a whole album. Like, I love the Cardigans.
Yeah.
And nobody gave a shit about them after Love Fool.
Like, the whole concept is that it's so loosely defined because it means many different things. I think for us, it's pretty much like, does this song break through, become a phenomenon, and nothing else reaches that same level?
Right.
Like, you look at, like, I would say off the top of my head, like a pop star like a Lady Gaga. Like, she's had multiple songs that just had this incredible explosion, you know?
Yeah. Could not be stopped.
And I think there's a fair thing to say, like, there are famous bands or musicians who do fairly well and are fairly successful, but never had that, like, explosive hit.
Right, or in, like, some of the other examples that we've talked about in earlier episodes where, they didn't really pay much attention to this band because they had their hands in so many other projects, or they were doing really well in their own home country and they didn't care about it becoming a big hit. They just continued to make music. I feel like this is very canonically an actual one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're
Japanese. Because it literally says on his Wikipedia page, Daniel Powter doesn't make music anymore.
It doesn't make music anymore. He's done.
I love that so much. Like, Wikipedia has closed the final chapter on Daniel Powter. Just so everyone is on the same page about this. We are clear. He does not make music anymore. Unless you are a J-pop singer and you want to do a duet with Daniel Powter for whatever reason, because we found a lot of those.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Man. What an interesting... I can just quickly get into the story of Daniel Powter.
Yeah, let's do that.
He is a Canadian performer who, by the age of 4, was playing violin, and unfortunately, he was bullied at the age of 4 for playing violin. He had to drop out of music school because he was dyslexic, but used that kind of rejection as motivation to make his own music. That's pretty much all I have.
Okay.
Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
And this isn't me ragging on the guy. Like, that's quite literally it.
Yeah, there are some cases of one-hit wonders where it's like they just continue to make music, or, you know, they're just living their lives. This guy, it's just not what he's doing.
No.
The biggest surprise to me when I turned on the music video for the first time in probably 16 years was just how normal he looked, because when I was a kid, I was like, this guy looks so old, and now that I'm parallel to his age at the time, I'm like, oh, he's just fine. He's just a normal looking guy.
I imagine that came up a lot because I watched some interviews with him, and he even says that he doesn't let his age bother him. And I'm like, how old was he? He was in his 30s when I think the song came out. And in my mind, I'm like, I guess that's inspirational because we're 30 and we've still got a whole lot of life to live. But I guess it, like, really that is out of place to have a huge pop hit and be in your 30s in the 2000s.
I know with KT Tunstall too, she also had a big issue with that as well. I think, and she wasn't even 30, I don't think. I think she was like 29 when Big Black Horse and a Cherry Tree finally became famous, and people were like, you're not gonna succeed. She was like, I'm
old.
Not even 36. I'm not even Daniel Powter's age.
Well, that's, you know what, take this as a testament, everybody, you know, sometimes you hit your strike later on.
Christoph Waltz.
He did. Oh my God, he was much older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that.
I think Amy Adams also said too that the reason that she makes like 3 to 4 big movies a year is to compensate for how she felt like she didn't like hit her stride until she was in her 30s.
Huh. That's an interesting point.
Yeah. I think she was in like a round table with Cate Blanchett, and Cate Blanchett was like, oh, I get so tired of people who make like 3 to 4 movies a year. And she's like, I'm sorry, okay? I just feel like I have to keep working.
Yo, that's a feeling.
It was cute. Yeah.
That's a feeling. Oh my God.
But yeah, so I guess we could talk about the music video. Well, what year did this song come out?
2005.
2005. Okay. So the music video comes out, and it's pretty much what you would expect for this kind of song.
It's very 2005. I think that's the best way to put it.
It's so 2005. I think it's from another civilization, to be honest. Like, this is a world, this is a problem that I don't remember existing.
I have to tell you about the music video.
Yeah.
We have another crossover from a former episode. This music video was directed by Marc Webb.
Yes, it was. Yes,
Marc
it was.
Webb. And it featured, this is going to sound weird, the video premiered on yahoo.com.
Oh, boy. Oh, goodness. Oh, Yahoo.
Yahoo.com.
Such a tragic history.
I think somebody just sold yahoo.com. I don't remember who.
Again,
and they sold it at a loss.
Oh, poor Yahoo. You can't help but feel for them.
It was nominated for Best Male Music Video at the 2007 MTV Awards in Japan.
I believe that was the award show that he showed up for.
Yes, he did show up for it. That's the picture that's all over his Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Is him at the MTV Asia Awards.
I gotta tell you, without a hat, he has such resting douche face. Like,
Well,
I'm sure
I
he's a
can't
very
make up
nice
my
guy.
mind. I was gonna tell you, I can't make up my mind
I can't tell. Yeah.
because some interviews he seems like a genuinely humble, nice guy, and he has these upbringings where he didn't make it he flopped out of school because he was dyslexic, so he decided to be, his own creator and he made his own way. And I'm like, that's admirable. But then I watch another interview where he's answering 20 questions and he says things like, what's your favorite thing about a woman? Which is a very 2000s question. And his response is, their smell. And then they follow that up with, what's your favorite smell? And he's just like, women. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't like this at all.
Well, he has to
There's
keep a
just-
hat on.
Like, keep your hat on. Don't
Keep your
talk
hat
about
on.
the things you like to smell.
He has a very straight hairline across his forehead, which I think is adding to the sort of resting douche face. But I don't
It's
know.
a very resting douche face.
Thank you. I like that the resting bitch face has sort of come full circle. At first, it was like a way to break apart from saying, like, women aren't bitches if they're not smiling, if they just look like that, like that's their resting bitch face. And then it became like, well, we should stop calling them bitches if their face looks like that. And now it's just like a complete 180 on the joke, and you just make a parody of it, like resting face,
Yeah. So,
hmm
let's talk about this video because I thought about a
Yes.
few things when I watched this video, and now realizing Marc Webb directed this video, I see a lot of like his other works in this music video. Like, my brain goes back to the Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is a horrendous movie.
Yeah.
But there's like a music video montage in the middle of the movie that's literally just a music video. And I'm like, oh, I get it now.
Samara Armstrong probably could have played Gwen Stacy if they did Gwen Stacy right in the first Spider-Man movies.
Well, we could still get a Gwen Stacy. I hope we get. I'm sure they'll do a Gwen Stacy now that like there are no rules and
Yeah, they're
the
gonna do
universe
whatever
is
they
whatever
want.
it wants.
Yeah, exactly. No, but the music video is so funny because it's so heteronormative, and like the problems between the two people is just like, I'm so lonely, which is a fair feeling to have.
It's a fair feeling. I felt it when I watched them. Like, I'm lonely, but I never wake up at 6:30 or 7 a.m.
Right. And so it's like the music video, aside from shots of Daniel Powter singing and playing at a piano, is they do this split screen thing, which is very reminiscent of 500 Days of Summer now that I think about it.
Yes, it is.
They do this split screen. It's just two single white people, Samara Armstrong and this other actor, Jason Adelman, who I don't think had as big of a career, even though Samara Armstrong was supposed to be big, and then she kind of wasn't. But so they're just like living their lives. They're bored at their jobs. Everything is very beige. And even if there's sunlight, it's not like that bright. It's very sad. Office coworkers are laughing. These two aren't laughing. It's that. And then she just decides to like draw on an advertisement in the subway, and then he finds it and he draws on it, and then she draws on it again, and then somehow they find each other, and now they're happy and their bad day is over.
Well, that was my big question.
Yeah.
All right, so like, well, it starts off, she draws a rain cloud.
Right.
Raining on, because the advertisement is just a woman sitting on a park bench, nothing around her, enjoying a coffee. So she draws a rain cloud raining on her.
Mm-hmm.
Then he draws her with an umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
Then she draws a taxi driver splashing a bunch of water to counteract the umbrella. But then he draws a man with a coat to protect her from the... And part of me just thought, how much time do you guys have? Because these are very intricate drawings.
Right.
And I feel like at some point, like, maybe it's just my understanding being in New York. I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel like if you stood around to draw on something that long, some MTA officer would stop you.
Yeah, and they're not doing it in the middle of the night. It's broad daylight. There are people walking around them.
Also, the video ends like she's trying to catch a cab, it's raining out, and he shows up with the red umbrella and they look at each other and love is found. But I'm like, they've never met before.
Yeah,
How does she know he's the one that drew that? How does he know?
this was
He just could.
another scenario where I was like, what if this guy didn't look like this guy and was somebody completely different? Like, what if Big Ed was the person who was drawing the other side of the doodle?
Oh yeah, you're the girl that drew the rain, right? Drew the umbrella.
Yeah.
We're not shaming anybody.
Big Ed is played by Danny DeVito in this music video.
I got an egg.
But that's
Well, I
what
mean, Danny
mean.
DeVito is the pinnacle of man, I'll have you know.
He's so virile. But yeah, like the whole music video is essentially like a 3-minute long rom-com from the 2000s, don't you think?
It's the prequel to 500 Days of Summer.
Oh no. Oh, it does explain a lot though about who the person is that would create 500 Days of Summer.
It
Like,
does. It's a sappy
yeah.
romantic with a very specific image of romance.
Yeah, also that if you're sad, love is the only thing you need to make you feel better.
Also, if you think about it, it is similar to 500 Days of Summer in that nothing is explicitly said,
No.
but the implications of love are almost supernatural.
They should have continued on with the music video, and she's like, "Are you the one who's been drawing this?" And he's like, "No, it's not me, it's that guy." And then he points and the camera pans over and it's Big Ed.
I don't remember Big Ed's voice. It's been so long since I've heard
It's
Big Ed.
it's really hard to duplicate Big Ed's voice because
Yeah.
it's almost penguin like.
Yeah. Well, I keep thinking about it because I'm like, there is this like supernatural element that's like unspoken. You know what I'm saying? Like the point of 500 Days of Summer is that Tom's an incel and needs to get over his shit.
Right.
But there's still like he's still almost rewarded for his behavior in that in some supernatural twist of fate, after 500 days of fawning over and like devastatingly heartbroken over this girl Summer, it took 500 days and some supernatural act where he literally meets the next girl right afterwards, like amazingly. And it's like, I guess you could look at that and say love is sort of weird like that. Love really is like this spontaneous thing that happens out of nowhere, which is true. I agree with that.
Right.
But then I also keep thinking like, but maybe he romanticizes that too much to like a degree that's impossible. Like this video is literally like, how do you know? Like, how do you know the guy with that red umbrella is the guy that drew the stupid drawings?
Right. And what bothers me about the music video, I remembered it sort of being like generically sad white people. And then when they're both separately on a bus or a subway and they see another couple being all cuddly and they're like, I want that. It's like, that's not going to solve your life problems. Like, then pan to, like, she's not talking to her coworkers even though she's standing right there. He's in a meeting and they're all laughing and he's like, I don't know, disassociating or something. They need to get their other problems sorted out. Like, meeting somebody new potentially is not going to fix all of that.
Courtney, this was 2005. We didn't use words like dissociation and mental health. You sucked up all your mental problems and just put them on your partner.
Yeah. Antisocial behavior was not a thing that people were concerned about in the workplace at the time.
No.
It was just like, you should meet somebody nice. You should meet someone nice. Go on a date.
Depression, find the love of your life.
Yeah.
Why aren't you married? Why don't you have the love of your life right now?
You're
30. You gotta find love right now. You're gonna die alone.
Don't be Daniel Powter sitting at his piano. I
It's
don't
like,
actually think that Daniel Powter, now that like I look back on it, it's like obviously he's not that old. It just amazes me that as a teenager I was like, this guy looks so old.
well, because when you're like all we were surrounded by were pop stars constantly made to look young, it is
Yeah.
jarring to then see the pop. Like, it's different if you're into, like, let's say you were like listening to punk music,
Mm-hmm.
even though like the forethought of like what makes music popular is always going to be the younger crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And like in alt cultures, you kind of almost look up to the older guys, like especially metalheads. They have this weird traditional hierarchical way of thinking. So like, but this isn't that. This is pop music. This is
Right.
mainstream pop music. All of a sudden, here comes this Canadian man who
Yes.
like steals the charts. And this is also why the song will never leave her fucking brain. They exclusively used this song for American Idol for years.
You know what? I think that's part of the reason why I can't listen to this song because of American Idol. Because I was still watching American Idol when this song came out and they started using it. And it almost became Pavlovian and it became triggering because every episode you'd watch a new contestant leave. Their dreams are crushed. Their hopes are ruined. They have to leave the stage and they do like a montage of their experience on American Idol and they would always play Bad Day by Daniel Powter. Every single
Huh.
time. Every single week.
Yeah.
They didn't even
I
just
can
pick
see
one
it.
other song to alternate it with. So,
I think about that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
I mean, this song also became big when I was really into watching the music shows on VH1. Like, this was
And
like a
this one probably
VH1
played a
hit.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because, like, sure, there was MTV, there was Fuse, but there was also, and BET, but there was also VH1, which played more music like Daniel Powter, The Fray, Natasha Bedingfield, Corinne Bailey Rae, like sort of like the softer adult pop.
And you know what's interesting about this?
Mm-hmm.
My brain just broke. I'm sorry. I don't remember what I was going to say. I literally had a thought. I literally had a thought. And I don't know where it went.
Well, so like the song starts playing on every single week of American Idol
Yes.
and starts playing in commercials. And then the music video is playing a lot. It just becomes everywhere. And I do think that part of that is that people could relate to it. That's why I liked it at first too.
Mm-hmm.
And then just so quickly, it just was oversaturated in too much Bad Day.
Yeah. So, to do a quick thing, his follow-up was 2008, Under the Radar, and it didn't even chart in the US. It did chart, guess where? In Japan at number 10.
Oh.
Where I guess like he stayed more relevant in Japan than he did in America.
Yeah, I don't get that at all.
Then he does turn on the lights in 2012 and then Giants in 2018, but as you've said, it has been declared. It has been declared by official law
Yes.
that Daniel Powters no longer makes music.
Wikipedia is law.
It is the law of the land. He will not make music anymore.
I also separately love listening to Jack Shepard's podcast, and he'll ask celebrities questions like, oh, so I hear you're from this. And they're like, no, somebody just wrote that on Wikipedia, and it's just stayed there forever. And I was like, information's a funny thing.
It is, but this is a very true statement.
This is
He
finite.
Done. He is no longer making music.
Yeah, there's something about the totality of the statement that makes it feel very true.
You will never hear another song from Daniel Powter.
My other second favorite Daniel Powter fact from Wikipedia is that Weird Al Yankovic reached out to him after this song became famous and asked him for the rights to parody this song. And turned it, it would have been something called You Had a Bad Date.
See, we're really getting into Marc Webb territory. That would have
Right?
been a perfect sequel.
Right. So he said no. Daniel Powter said no.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know why anybody would turn down a parody from Weird Al. I mean, even before he got big. But
You know, I saw Weird Al live
oh,
2
really?
years ago. It was actually a blast. Not gonna lie, it was a genuinely fun time.
That's awesome.
I only knew I only knew his hits, but
Mm-hmm.
the whole there's so much music talent behind like the whole performance,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's just such a fun time.
When I was a kid, I knew of Weird Al Yankovic because when I'd go visit my cousin in Rochester, that's what he listened to as a kid.
Oh yeah,
So
such a
I
good time.
knew about him before White and Nerdy, but it turns out that's when he was asking Daniel Powter if he could have the rights to his song or if he could parody it. He had just finished making White and Nerdy. Daniel Powter changed his mind and said, like, okay, I will give you the rights to my song. And Weird Al Yankovic said he didn't want it anymore.
Yeah, because by that time he's already created his vision.
Yes. Yeah. White and Nerdy became bigger than Chameleonaire's song that it was based on.
But you know what? I still love Amish parrot. That's just perfect. Just
Yeah.
the video itself, just how serious the Amish people. So good.
But so yeah, so he had his chance to extend its life in some way by giving, some semblance of power to Weird Al, and he didn't accept it. So I don't know. I mean, I think outside of this song, like Daniel Powter just has a weird singing voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying that. I didn't
Yeah.
listen to any of his music, but it's even in this song. I'm like, is this a voice I typically want to hear in a song?
Right.
And the answer is no.
Is this actually a good singing voice? Or is it just the right singing voice for this song?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think about that a lot with Ashlee Simpson and her first album. Because she had Boyfriend after that first album.
Ashlee Simpson. I remember that song.
But Popcast did a whole breakdown of Ashlee Simpson's musical career, which I truly loved. And they talked a lot about how Cara DioGuardi was the singer-songwriter for the majority of that album. That album would not have succeeded without Cara DioGuardi. But then they asked the question, is Ashlee Simpson an actual singer? And I think about it from time to time. Sometimes when I go back to listen to Ashlee Simpson. But I think that about Daniel Powter too. It's like, I don't think I actually like his voice. I think it just works for this song. And I don't even think I can really listen to it with this song anymore.
On a Monday, I am waiting.
On a Tuesday, I'm fading. And
by
on Wednesday,
Wednesday, I can't sleep.
phone rings and hear you in the darkness. It's clear. It's so great. It's so perfectly
I did genuinely like this song a lot.
Oh, it's a really good album. It's also a terrible album.
I remember the distinction was because obviously Jessica Simpson was the pop star.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be like the alternative pop star, like
Yes.
the edgy one.
Yes, my girl.
Is there truth to the whole like what happened when there was like the lip sync incident? Like
we'll have to talk about that. I have a lot of feelings about that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff behind that. Like we could do a whole episode just about Ashlee Simpson's music and then a separate episode just about the SNL incident. I do feel bad about that in regards to like when I was a teenager, I like loved Ashlee Simpson because she was like the alternative girl. Like it was like a nice change of pace compared to the other musicians who were popular at the time. And
yeah, she was the alternative pop girl. Like she was
right.
like edgier, wore more clothes, but wasn't breaking from like the mainstream norm, really.
Right. She still benefited from all of the privilege that was brought to her, like, by her sister being a pop star.
But we don't understand, guys. She's moody and she's messy.
Yeah, yeah. I think
She gets restless and it's
yeah,
senseless.
she gets restless. She's living in the shadow of someone else's dream. But
the dream of a woman who once referred to tuna fish as quite literally the chicken of the sea.
You know what? Both of their careers, it's sad to look at now. So, like, that's what I was going to say, was that, like, when I was a teenager and the whole SNL thing happened, I was really quick to be like, ugh, she's a phony, she's a poser, I can't believe she did that. Nowadays, nobody would care. I don't know how SNL decides on its standards for what's okay and what's not okay. Like, how can Ashley Simpson be banned from performing at SNL? But then they're going to have Elon Musk on this week, and
Wait,
they flat out...
They banned her?
They banned her, yeah.
Why?
Because of this. Because it's her fault.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, SNL, like, I grew up loving it. We love it because it's New York, and it's brought so many great comedic minds forward, but at the same time, it has such a checkered past, and one of those things is that, like, they consider this so heinous that Ashley Simpson has been banned from SNL.
But they let Kanye West on, like, is he part of, like, because he's been a musical performance several times.
Right, but he's also called out SNL, but that's the thing, that almost makes it worse. It's like, they can blatantly argue in the public eye, and it's fine, but Ashley Simpson is banned for life. Meanwhile, Elon Musk is going to be hosting this week, and they flat out told cast members, like, well, you don't have to participate.
Oh, actually, that's not true.
That's not true?
No.
He is hosting, though, right?
No, he is hosting. Well, didn't he already host, or is that this week?
I don't know. See, that's the thing, too. I don't think it would matter now, because in 2004, when that happened, SNL was still in the prime. You know, it had a heyday again. It had its new era for us. Now I don't think anybody would give a shit.
Yeah, hold on. I'm looking it up because I remember the New York Post made a thing.
I know we should be talking about Daniel Powter, but there's really not that much to talk about there.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Hold on.
Okay.
I have the update.
I don't care what they say. I could totally believe Lorne Michaels told cast members, like, well, he's still gonna perform. You don't have to be a part of it.
Oh, no, what happened is New York Post wrote a headline saying, SNL cast won't be forced to perform with controversial host Elon Musk. But when you actually read the article, it says, no cast members have pulled out from the show at this time, and nor have they confirmed the statement to be true. The New York Post just published this story to make a controversial story.
But that's my point, is that, like, why would somebody like Ashley Simpson be banned from something that, okay, it went wrong, that's fine, whatever, it was a snafu.
But a COVID denier, a billionaire COVID denier.
Exactly.
Who's actively on, like, record talk about how his employees have the choice not to go to work if they're afraid of COVID, with no pay, no benefits, and it's just like, this is the guy. But how dare Ashley Simpson?
Right, exactly. So I think that that's stupid. And I don't think that they've ever considered retroactively changing those rules. It's like, okay, sure, like, they made a choice in 2004. They could easily just be like, you know what, that was really stupid back then. That was really dumb. Like, of course, Ashley Simpson can come back. Once they decide these things, they just stick to it. I don't know. I also was telling my roommates yesterday that with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos being terrible people to the planet and other humans, that they're so gung-ho about colonizing Mars, I would just love if they finally get to Mars and then they find the Australians and New Zealanders figured it out like 10 years ago and they've already been on Mars for like a decade.
Oh my god.
They finally get to Mars and then Australians.
They're so obsessed with getting to Mars, but it's like, yeah, you have a whole planet here.
I know. Like, let's fix this one, guys. You can do
mind
it.
You, Also, this one that is, mind you, significantly larger than Mars.
And we already know is inhabitable because we've lived here for centuries.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Do we want to read the comments of this video? Because that was interesting.
Yeah, we really don't have that much to talk about with Daniel Powter. Like, this is really a cut and dry case of one-hit wonder, which is just that none of the other following singles were able to chart as successfully as the first one. He's never really come up with anything since then. But one thing
And
that
he's definitively done making music.
Yes, he has tattooed it on his arm. Daniel Powter is done making music. That's not actually true, but I just picture.
Never again.
He has it plaqued on his wall somewhere. Daniel Powter will never make music again. But one thing we did truly enjoy out of rewatching this music video was just the comments underneath the music video on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's just find some good ones. The one that first made me decide we should do this was the top one. Tom, do you want to read that?
The top one with top rated 17,000 likes and 318 replies. This reminds me of the old days when Corona was only a beer.
Yeah, this one was the one that reminded me, like, oh, this music video is talking about a bad day from a world that does not exist anymore.
Yep.
Like, our bad days now are, like, economical failure, racial divide and injustice, pandemic, faltering economy, bad day because you're feeling kind of lonely. It just seems like a completely different world.
Oh, can you... But do you want to read the other comments? There's some that are just amazing.
Yeah,
These are all very recent, by the way.
Yeah, another one that we really appreciated was by someone who wrote, "I just had a bad day. This is what I did. Listening to music. Not killed people."
Yep, a lot of these... Still, this one is similar. Still can't believe we said that the shooter had a bad day and decided to shoot up 3 different places. A bad day, really? I don't think normal people go on a killing spree over having a bad day.
Yeah, shout out to all the people who don't shoot up a spa after having a bad day. Like, it just perfectly coincides with a terrible excuse that was used to harm innocent people. And to essentially get treated with more respect than a lot of people.
So I found a Japanese comment and I translated it.
Yeah.
And it says, "Doing this song in an English class today. There is also a Japanese translation on the print. I was really sick, so I got energized."
Wait, what?
The last sentence, I'm not sure it translated right, or maybe it's just the language. He said, "I was really sick, so I got energized."
Oh, okay. Maybe the song was energizing? I guess that's what it meant.
Yeah. Someone wrote, "Listening to Bad Day every day in 2020, because it is."
One person wrote, "The 21K dislikes are from people that had a good day." Oh, where was another one? There were some that were so funny.
This person wrote, "Back when..." Well, go ahead.
"This hits different when you're actually having a bad day." This person took it very seriously. "Timeless. For every decade, every generation, this song will always be special." And it got 54 likes.
Good on them.
Yeah.
This person wrote, "Back when times were simpler, music had better vibes, and the world was a better place." I care to disagree, sir. I don't think this guy... Who says this? Maybe because we were conscious enough in 2005 to realize, like, we were in the middle of the Iraq War. 9/11 was fresh in our mind. Gender politics were a lot worse than they are now. Like, I don't know if there's any validity to this statement, but sure, man, if
No.
it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
That's some golden age thinking right there.
Yeah, that's also probably a person that says, like, man, people are so sensitive these days. Like, I can't even hug a girl without getting in trouble.
Or did you see that went viral? This fucking guy for the Orlando Sentinel wrote a whole fucking article about how woke Disney is ruining his Disney World experience.
No, I didn't.
And I remember reading, like, hearing about it, and I just got annoyed. I'm like, oh, because, like, what are you talking about? You could still go to Disney World, and it's still there. Like, you know what it is? I think he was mad that they changed, like, one of the caricatures on the Jungle Ride
Oh,
to
sure.
not be as racially insensitive, and he was like, Disney is ruining my time and immersion.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want us to go back to the days of like really obviously racist caricatures? Like that's
right.
That's what it speaks like. It's like this guy wishes Song of the South was released on DVD. That's what this sounds like. Because like I don't understand anything else. You still have your princesses. You still have your magic stories. You still have all the fantasy elements are still there. The only thing that's changing is some caricatures. It's like, so what's the good old days of Disney? What, like the stereotypes?
Right. Like I remember you and I both went on my favorite ride when we last went to Disney, the like the log ride. And
yeah.
When I was 13 and we first went on that ride as kids, like I was so excited because I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm finally brave enough to go down this gigantic water mountain. And I had no idea that like super racist hillbilly hick ride is happening inside the mountain. So as a 13-year-old, I was like, oh no. Something is happening here and I don't know what's going on. So I'm very glad that they're changing it to like a Princess and the Frog ride. Give the Princess and the Frog like some more hype. You know?
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, the only way that article makes sense is if your legitimate idea of escapist fantasy is to have a good time hanging out with a bunch of racist caricatures.
Yeah, also, that really makes your escapist fantasy at the forefront of priority because it's like, well, so long as I'm not offended, this is all fine. So long as I'm happy, then I don't care what's happening to everybody else.
That's so I found another Japanese comment.
Yeah.
It translates to, I was a Japanese who wanted to find out Japanese comments from all the comments.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a bad translation. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I do find it interesting that there are some people who are like, God damn, these were the good old days. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, like, we're not doing too great now, but also, like, those two main characters in that 3-minute rom-com that's supposed to be the music video are avoiding a lot of dissociative behavior.
Yep. They're clearly not having a good day.
They're not having a good day.
So I wanted to point out my favorite comment of all the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for this comment?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to let everyone know that Jesus Christ loves you.
Oh, yes, here we go. Yes.
And wants the best for you. And he is coming very, very soon. It's end times. And I pray and hope everyone will repent and come to Jesus Christ before it's too late. I'm praying for everyone's health and for everyone's peace. I love you all. Romans 10:9-13.
You don't love me. You don't love me.
Rainbow emoji. Is that it? Oh, I thought that was a lobster. It's a dove emoji, a crucifix emoji, and a purple heart. Oh, that's
scary. Okay. All right.
Well, if end times are coming, does good health really matter?
That's so ominous. I don't like that person wrote that comment just because it's like so. Also, very final, you know? Just Daniel Powter will no longer be making music. It is the end times. I love all of you, crucifix emoji. It's like, no, I don't want that.
I'm going to comment. I wrote, you might have ironically wrote the most metal comment of all time. Because it is very doom and gloom.
There is a very meta comment in regards to us mentioning, like, the term bad day now. And it says, I hope Powter is paying attention to how the song might be used in relation to this week's tragedies. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. This isn't Daniel Powter's fault.
No.
Just because he declared he's not making music anymore.
But it's just very clear about how language changes over time, right? Like, I think about how people are freaking out about sentence structure with they, them. It's like, bitch, you were not using proper grammar before they, them became a popular pronoun, okay? Do not act like you are suddenly the grammar police, because if you were the grammar police, we'd still be talking like we were in a Jane Austen novel, okay?
Yes.
So, you know, I don't think in 2005 Daniel Powter was planning on bad day being a term used not so well. I don't even know how to explain it in comparison, but yeah.
Oh my god, I found an amazing comment. Wait, you're telling me this song wasn't written by Alvin, Simon, and Theodore?
I love that so much. There are so many people who said, like, thanks, Alvin and the Chipmunks, for bringing me to this song. It's like... Cause you had a bad day, you take it one down, you sing a sad song just to turn it around. What?
Oh my god, remember those fucking movies?
I really love people who, like, take this song literally. It becomes easier to pass through the boring days when I listen to this song. That was 2 weeks ago.
Oh my god, the first Alvin and the Chipmunks came out in 2007.
Yeah, it says...
What the fuck?
3 weeks ago. Daniel Powter's bad day. Hearts emoji. Chipmunk's bad day. Starry-eyed emoji.
Oh my god.
What a
How
tune.
many Alvin and Chipmunk movies did they make? The second one came out in 2009.
Okay.
Let me see.
Oh no,
Okay.
we'll have to watch the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies. Yeah, there are a lot of Alvin and the Chipmunks comments.
Alright, so these are the movies. There's the 1987 one, which I remember that one fondly. I do remember that one fondly.
1980s and like early 90s Alvin and the Chipmunks were my jam. There's the one where they had to like fly across the globe.
The Chipmunk Adventure, yes.
Yes, oh my god, that one is such a good movie with good songs.
Oh, you know, I was a big fan.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 direct-to-video Alvin and Chipmunks
Oh,
movies.
oh, was it the werewolf one?
Yes, Alvin and
man.
Chipmunk meet Frankenstein and then meet the Wolfman.
Those were good.
Those.
I
Then
really
we have
enjoyed those.
Alvin and the Chipmunks, 2007.
Okay.
Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel. I hate that.
Oh,
I hate
I
that
just
so
cringed.
much. Alvin and the Chipmunks, Chipwrecked from 2011.
Oh god.
And the last one, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Road Trip, 2015.
Tom, I found a comment that reminds me a lot of you, but also sort of the sort of bro rock that we were talking about from the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus episode. Every time I hear this song, automatically, my typical not bad day transforms into a good day. The last time I hear it was maybe a year ago until now. Maybe because I usually listen to new metal. That also makes my life better. Slipknot. What is Sode? What is SOAD? Sode?
Oh, System of a Down.
Oh, right. Okay. Disturbed, Mudvayne, Linkin Park, 3 Days Grace, etc.
I feel personally attacked.
But it kind of reminds me of, like, when we've been talking about these, like, songs and these videos where you're like, I wouldn't have enjoyed this as a kid, but now I can get into it.
Yeah.
Sode.
I think I'm good talking about this song.
Yeah. Yeah, there's really not that, I mean, like, I think I was kind of hoping we'd find something interesting about this and unpack it a lot, like the way we've been able to with other songs, and there's just really nothing else to find. I remember when I was a kid and I did like this song for a short while. I LimeWire was banned from my home
Really?
because, well, my dad worked in cybersecurity, right?
That makes sense.
So
Okay.
it was very clear LimeWire was not allowed near our home. But I remember, because LimeWire wasn't okay in our home, that I asked a friend to burn me a CD of songs I did want from LimeWire, and I asked for this song.
Nice.
And then shortly after that, I was like, I think I'm good on this because I'm hearing it literally everywhere.
Yeah, you didn't have to go far to hear this song.
No. And then I think even if I go into a grocery store now and I hear it, it's just, you start singing it and then you're like, God damn this song.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it. That's really all there is to say about it.
Just like his music career, we are ending the conversation about the song now.
We are
no
done.
more music by David Powter.
Daniel Powter.
Daniel Powter.
Apparently he likes Raymond Carver books. I have
Yes, he does.
one of Raymond Carver's books in my shelf.
He also likes the smell of...
It's so weird. Did you think that the Al Pacino movie, The Scent of a Woman, literally involved smelling a woman?
Sure.
Sure.
I don't know what they do in Canada.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Courtney,
Tom.
what has been your weekly obsession?
I hate looking at screens. I'm tired of it. I hate it so much.
Fair.
Yeah, it's everything, you know. Like Zoom calls, applying to different things, grants, applications, jobs, like all these kinds of things that you're constantly on the screen for, social media, all of it. So I've been reading a lot. A lot of reading, and I just finished a book that was really good called When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. She is usually writing romantic novels. I think this was her first thriller. I'm sure that she has written thriller on her own, but this was the first one that's been published. And it's about gentrification in a small neighborhood in Brooklyn. And it's really, really good. Like, the pace just keeps you going the entire time. And it follows like a girl who grew up in the neighborhood all her life. She comes back because her mom is sick and she has gotten a divorce, and she starts to see things changing in her neighborhood, and people from her childhood are starting to disappear. And it's really, really good. And I feel like it's so important for people to better understand, like, privileges that they've grown up with or struggles that they don't know that maybe other people have grown up with. And it's a really good book.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a fast
Makes
read.
sense.
I read it in 2
Yeah.
days.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot the emerging rock trends.
Oh no, I was kind of hoping we wouldn't talk about it.
All right, so
Okay.
I have it pulled up.
Okay.
I already added the entry.
No, I was trying to avoid it. Fine.
Let's just add it to not okay and call it a day. There it is.
Okay.
It's done. We never have to talk about the song
Okay.
ever again.
We are done talking about Daniel Powter.
We will add it to our Wikipedia page. We will never talk about it again.
Tom,
So long as he's not making music, we will not talk about it again.
what has been your obsession this week?
I just started watching Shadow and Bone.
Yes. What did you think?
And I love it so far.
Okay.
I love, like, it's got the sci-fi fantasy elements,
Mhm.
but it's very much, like, steeped in this, like, Victorian steampunk post-apocalyptic vibes that I really fucking love. I think the performances are great so far. I've only gotten to episode 2.
But it also doesn't
but
feel
I'm-
like too heavily laden on the aesthetic either, right? Like I feel
No,
like
it's not. It just, yeah.
some would just rely on that.
No, it feels organic.
Yeah.
It feels like a world that I can see. I can live in it. I enjoy it. It's a gritty world, but it's not self-indulgent in the grittiness.
Right, like Hunger
we
Games.
know it's a world. Or fucking Game of Thrones.
Right.
Like, we're aware it's a world where shit happens, but we're not focused on it. We're not putting the camera on it. We're not, like, we know certain characters were sold, into, some type of sex trade, but we're not going to have a 5-minute scene where we have to see it.
Right,
We're just,
exactly.
it's there, but it's like, the world is like, you know what it is? It's because this world is rooted in this grittiness.
Mm-hmm.
But the exciting thing is the story. This new exciting thing that can bring hope, but can also be a potential use of abuse of power. It's like, that's the excitement.
Yeah, and I just like the way that they approach it. I feel like you're right. Like, there is a world that has issues and it's divided into different things and it has its struggles, but it doesn't overindulge in that. I think that the use of the Six of Crows, the mercenaries, is a great idea that actually in the books comes much later as like a separate prequel. So
Yeah.
I like that for the show to kind of give it this sort of like breath of fresh air, that they include the Six of Crows and their journey, and like you kind of wonder like how is this going to be interlaced with the main story.
Yeah, I just love it. It's pretty great.
Oh my gosh, also I found out that Ben Barnes can really sing.
Really?
Yeah, I found footage of him singing Somebody to Love by Queen, but he called it Somebody to Hug. He's got a great singing voice. I was genuinely surprised.
Nice.
Yeah.
He shows up quite frequently in episode 2.
They really want to fuck.
He's a handsome man.
Well, that's what I liked about it too, was I think that a lot of YA series go over the forbidden love, and also sort of like the dynamic of like, dude, your love interest is actually like really, really toxic. But I feel like the way that they describe it in Shadow and Bone makes a little bit more sense. Like, she's fully aware that he in some ways like is still trying to tell her what to do or could have power over her, but because their powers are the only ones that can parallel each other, like they're the only ones who have this insane amount of power, there's always going to be some sort of attraction. They're always going to be drawn to each other in some way. And I don't know. I mean, maybe if he wasn't the Darkling, like it could have worked out. I don't know. I'm into it. It's good.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm still only on episode 2.
I know.
But I'm watching it I will watch it. Also, Resident Evil 8 came out, and we'll be streaming that later. It's gonna be a fun time.
Yes. Big booty vampires.
Vampires.
Yes.
Werewolves.
Yes.
Gothic horror. Ghouls? Ethan Winters.
Yeah.
I love that the main protagonist is just a guy named Ethan.
Yeah.
Like, this franchise has had, like, big, larger-than-life anime-type characters, like your Leon Kennedy.
Jill Valentine.
Chris Redfield.
Yeah.
Chris Redfield, Rebecca. You have all these bigger, larger-than-life, like, anime protagonists. And now our main character is just a guy named Ethan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's just a guy. And that's adds to the horror, because he's not, like... Especially in Resident Evil 7, the one that came out before this. He's just a guy who got stuck in a swamp house. And he has to get out of the swamp
And he's,
house.
like, trying to save his wife, right?
He's trying to save his wife.
But do you think... Okay, so, like, Resident Evil 8, in the trailers, they show Chris Redfield just, like, straight up killing his wife. Do you think that really happened? Like, what is going on there?
I don't know. I'll find out later. I think...
I'm so excited.
Because in one of the plots of 7... She is infected by this mold.
Right.
So I don't know if that leaves any attributes or if that, because I think that's the driving plot of this game, is that the baby must have something about it that this vampire cult wants.
And then there's also the theory that Chris Redfield has turned evil.
Or a werewolf.
Or a werewolf. Oh man, I'm just like, something good in 2021.
And it's super gothic. Like, it is, like, I kept thinking about, like, the old Universal monster movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, like, almost seems impossible to revitalize these old gothic monsters as terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, this game kind of does it. It takes this creepy Euro Gothic environment and throws you right into it, and it works. And I'm excited. Ethan is the hero of 2021. He's just a guy named Ethan. He has no powers. He has no abilities. He wasn't a cop. He wasn't a soldier. He's just Ethan.
He just is a guy who got himself into a shitty situation in the last game, and now he's just swept up in all of this. But
he's like us.
Yes.
He's just a normal guy swept up in an unrealistic situation trying to make it out.
I think what makes the aesthetic of this game so exciting too is like you said, like, it sort of revamps the monsters of old, but also indulges itself in every single element of it. So it's like decadent and campy and over the top, and it just doesn't let go for a second.
No.
It's great.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. It went ham, and that's good.
I'm ready. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This is another episode of our One Hit Wonder series. We're never going to talk about it again, though.
Yeah, we're done. There really wasn't that much to say to begin with.
I will never even say the song's name anymore. I'll just say the song that shall not be named.
It has been written on Wikipedia, and therefore it will be. Sorry.
Yes, no, that's good. Find us on Instagram. Remember the 00S podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, Google Play, Apple, stuff, Amazon, maybe.
I like how
podcasts are found.
I like how you always add Amazon maybe as like that's part of it. That's a part of the whole title of the website.
Just call me. With that, thank you, and have a good day. Did I forget anything?
No, I think that's enough.
Okay, perfect. Bye-bye.
Bye.